Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming Live by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, here we are. Here we have, and who do we have here in our beautiful studio? We've got Rob and we've got Randall. Welcome, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be in such great company. And today's topic question is what the truth is not. So I don't know if you guys are fairly okay just to introduce yourselves, because we've got always new listeners out there. It can just be a very brief little introduction. Just say what you feel you need to say in terms of what you've been doing in the last half a year, your background in terms of who you are, and then we'll take it from there. Does anybody want to take the mic first, Rob or Randall? Just a little introduction of yourselves.
Okay, well, I'm Rob. All I've been doing for the last, well, I wouldn't say a couple of years, last 7 years, is working on the one truth. All of it from all angles to work out exactly what, why, where, when we are, why we exist. So that's what I do.
Very, very deep questions. Very, very powerful. Yeah. Okay. And Randall, we've had the pleasure on numerous occasions to meet up as well. I've known you the last couple of years. Rob's been very much, I think, about half a year or so, if that now, Rob. I mean, and I just like the way you also think outside of the box. So just, Randall, just a little intro to any new listeners as to who you are and what you've been doing in the last couple of months that might be of interest to some listeners out there.
Well, I have a name, but I'm God, and so are you. Okay. So It's that simple. But other than that, I play with people and their stories about money mostly. So the only thing that makes us different from every other animal on this beautiful heavenly Mother Earth plane where we live, which is just heaven, is that we tell each other fucking stories. That's it. Yeah. That's all we've got. So the word is God and I am God. So we're here with some good words for you. And, we're not going to tear apart other people's stories. What the hell good is that? We work with and not against, because that's how we move forward and evolve as a species. So that's it.
Yeah. I mean, Rob, you started it from the perspective of the what, where, when, how, and who, why we all life exists. I mean, if I can just ask Randall this question, where's your observation point of view in terms of who you are? What you just said, you're God, basically. So you're saying that you're the sole creator, the prime creator of everything that is whirling around our world right now. Do you think there's different layers of how the world is? Because the question is, what is truth, and what is not, or what the truth is not? So there's a lot out there that's been created. Is that of our making, or have we just gone into a system that is out of control and we're not in control of anything? Or are we in control? I mean, Rob, what's in terms of the drama out there, in terms of where you want to kickstart this conversation in terms of what truth is not? Do we need to look at what is and what is not?
Well, first off, truth is not that I control the world or I created the world. That's not what God is. That's God is the creator of your world, your universe, because you're it. It's your world. And the world being WOR, and then you got an L in there, and then a D, okay? So it's your world that you're creating, constantly. And if you get some agreement, if you get somebody else that agrees with you, like in the silly game of autographs and agreements in the banking world that I talk about, AU and AG, autograph, agreement, then you move forward. Okay. And if you can move that story to a cracking story that everybody in the world believes, then yeah, maybe you're a fucking god. But you know, really, it's not about me saying that I'm running the world. That's bullshit. Nobody can do that. But I can run my world, and I can say yes or no or whatever I want, and I can share stories, and that's what we're here for.
Can I jump in?
Please.
So, from my point of view, for me to make statements, I'd have to know what God is, what the world is, because you can say you're not the God of the world, or you don't control the world. So first off, if you go away from the word God, because it's not what people think, once you understand the phonetics of the word God is simply the God. You're the God in her, the God in her. So once you understand the phonetics of all words have been changed, so to work all of this out, you've got to, this is 100% a must, you've got to go back to creation. And the only thing you've got to work with is you. So you go back to creation and you work out who created you, how were you created, and where did you come from? And once you get that, you understand what the Bible's, or the top level, what it's actually talking about. It's only ever talking about the generation of energy, generating more energy, or creational energy. That's all it is. In a human, you create new life. But this starts with thoughts. Remember, the God, or what our class is, the one mind. With everything in creation started with a mind, a thought. So it was the mind of God that created everything, or the word of God that starts as a thought. So basically it's tones. Tones create the torus that give rise to the universe. The universe is a cell. And in the center of the cell, you have the creator, the one mind. We now are in the center of a cell. So we are the brain of the cell. So all the workings of a human, all the chakras of a human, are the levels of consciousness that all life rises through. And collectively now, mankind is at the top level of consciousness. The reason you've got to work out what the truth is not is because then you realize what it is, whatever you're left with. So you can say you're God, you can say you've got this world, you can say all these things, but that's from the perspective of looking at the now, right? So you go back to creation and you ask all these questions again, and you start there, and everything else makes sense. Law, if you want to look at law, you've got to work out what the body does, how the body communicates with itself. Then you understand what law is and why it exists, how the brain cells communicate. Hi, Barrett. That's how brain cells communicate. We are the brain cells. So communication, language, all starts with a thought, which starts with a tone. You then project that tone out in another, from your synapses and all that bullshit that science is. And then another mind will hear it, hear those tones, create images in your head, which then create well, the images are mental projections. Once you can agree that you see the same image in my head that doesn't exist in this world, if you agree that you can see what I'm seeing, so how can you see what somebody's saying? You see it because you hear the tones and then you resonate in your head, the resonant chamber, and you'll create the image in the black light. That's the mind. So everybody has a brain, and in that brain is the one mind. No matter what it is, from a bee to an ant to a single cell, they all have a brain, and in that brain, at the very center of that black dot that doesn't do anything, that's the mind. Everything is the mind, bar nothing. Everything starts as a thought, and then the mind projects that out through the ego, through your eyes, and then you create it. This world is created by man, but only from the perspective of man. Animals don't look at man and recognize a house as a house, a car as a car. Man does that. But from their perspective, they've got their world. So when people talk about dimensions, they're talking nonsense. The dimensions are already here, and they're all below your dimensions of perspective. So you start off as a single cell. They have a perspective of the world. They still exist. That is the first dimension. And it just goes up. The more cells are attached to it, the bigger the life form, the more dense it gets. And then you get to a human, which is the top level, where the consciousness itself within the universal cell, that's you, is able to recognize itself as the creator.
So the human isn't the top level, though. I won't agree with that. We're probably the fucking bottom level when it comes to this law, because just you use the word law. So I want to just give you, give you a little bit to work off of there, brother, because your mind is great. I love it. Don't get me wrong, and it's cool. Like you say, you're sovereign. You're directly, divinely connected, or divine natural activation, DNA. And then we can play with DNA later too, all you want. I love that.
I can explain DNA.
Yeah,
okay. Exactly what it, not through science, through logic.
But law could be, maybe we flip those words around, because it's just all, AWL, air, water, land, all.
Natural.
Like Hermes Trismegistus and the 7 Hermetic principles. That's the basis of most religions. And that kind of is where I go when I want to simplify things.
So
I have
beyond that,
saying. Yeah, go ahead.
Beyond that, you've got, so once you know how the torus works and you understand how the cell works, you'll understand that it starts off with 1. That's the one mind. That divides into 2. It's just cell division. That's all it is. And you get cell division through cymatics. So once you understand how a cymatic pattern works through tones, you'll understand that that tone is the full life of the cell. It starts off going, and that's death. When it gets the highest frequency, it's death. Cell death is coming next year. That's the end. But the end is also the beginning. It's just a cycle. It's like your life. Your cells live and die. Humans live and die. The universe lives and dies. It's just day and night. Death is not what people think. It's definitely not the end. It's the end of a transition before you go to the next. So we'll just go back to single cells. So, like I say, the division of the one mind gives you the sun and moon, and that gives you the positive and negative. They're the duality. The sun being the positive, the moon being the negative at the bottom. The moon being the magnetism part of it. The sun being the electrical part of it. And from the white light, so black light, which is the one mind, divides into 2, and you get black and white. So the moon represents the black light, the subconscious, which represents the one mind. So the one mind gives information to the moon or the subconscious. That gives you, and then relays that information to your conscious brain, and you become aware of it, the ego. So your life follows a script. You don't get to decide anything. It's all scripted. It's fate. So when people say to me, but Rob, how can you possibly know the end of the universe? Because no man does. It's written. Well, that's right. No man will. But God does. And if you start claiming to be the creator and then start using the mind like it should be used, and stop listening to outside and listen to the words or listen to thoughts in your head, you will show yourself. You have to claim to be the creator before any of this will make sense in your head. You've got to claim it and live it. And when you do that, you become it. You become what you claim.
Right.
You claim to be the top level. And when I say man's the top level, what I mean is man's the top level, but it's also the lowest level. So you are the densest of consciousness, but that you have to be that to get beyond that. But you'll only ever get that top level during death, during the death process. So during the death process, you go through the 9 gates. The 9 gates is you going over your life script, and you realize what you've done wrong. That leads to your next karmic life. So where you live the perfect life and you've balanced all the energy. Remember, calm, just calming the waters. It's balance. So opinions, hate that. Every time you have an opinion on something outside of you, you create waves. Those waves are karma. You've just got to balance it, everything, and don't care about it. If I say the world's going to end next year, just accept the world's going to end next year. If it doesn't, great. If it does, it ends next year. You just got to get in your head that it's going to end. You can't fight it. You can't. It's like someone saying you're going to die, and you're going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to die. So people just have to learn to accept these things.
Well,
you're able to accept it,
if you're accepting that, Rob, then you are going to die. Like that's all. That's you're predicting your future. It's not the future of the world, of man. It's the future of your world that's going to die. And
do you agree there was
that simple?
Do you agree there was a creation?
What's that?
Do you agree there was a creation?
Of course.
Now, do you agree that everything created has a lifespan?
Yes.
Does everything that live die?
Yes.
From our point of view.
Yes.
Now, if the universe is a cell and it's got a lifespan, it was created, so it has to have an end date. But remember, death isn't what you think. If I die now in this reality by knowing who I am and stop playing the game, stop trying to create more money or create this. If you stop doing all of that, and you just accept it is what it is. The play will still play out. Right? This is how I worked it out. When my mom died, and I was in the hearse following I was in the funeral procession following the hearse. There was people at the bus stop, and I'm looking at the people at the bus stop thinking their life just continues, and my life's falling apart. And that's when I had the realization that during death, it matters not. Life will continue. It just continues. So after the death of the universe, consciously, all life gets wiped out, except one kind, the single cells.
Okay, but the challenge with predictions, okay, I'll go here for a minute if you don't mind, Rob. It's like the world dies every night when you go to sleep. It's not going to die next year, or it's going to die next year, so it doesn't matter. But when we make predictions like that, the average human mind, and I'm not calling this levels or talking about sad, sleep or anything like that, but the only thing that they can grasp is that, oh shit, that's the first thing they do when they say the world's coming to an end. The world comes to an end every fucking night you go to sleep. Excuse my language, Barrett. I apologize. But when I get excited, I drop the F-bomb once in a while. And I'm excited about this call because it is truth, okay? And the truth is that death is not a problem. I died, physically, actually, even. I went fucking away one time, and it was like, this is cool. Like, it was so calm and so relaxing, and I didn't float above or make up stories like that. I just died, and then I came back. And physically, like 15 or 20 minutes. But, if people can get past that and say that we're not talking about fear here of the future, of something, yes, the world died, and the world of truth is coming to life. And that's what we need to talk about. And what, like you say, what is truth or what is not truth? I forgot what you said.
What the truth is not.
What the truth is.
And so we can dive into that now instead of, we may have lost a few people already that are thinking, oh, fuck, these guys are going to predict the end of the world. Well, it ended. It ended a second ago, and it started again now. That's how fast it can happen.
Okay, you got for this to understand it, you've got to look at fractals. So yes, day, life, night, death. Every single night, you crawl back into the womb. Your bed represents the womb. Your quilt, when you wrap it up, you lie in the fetal position. That's the amniotic fluid. So every night you go back into the womb. I agree 100%. But again, within any one life, you have fractals. So day, night, day, night. Now think of a bigger fractal. Your full life follows the same pattern. Daytime is life, nighttime is death, or back into the womb again. So the universe follows the same thing. So yes, day, night, same as you. Then overall, it has a life and death. Then it starts again, the same as your life, the same as your cells within you every second. So yes, day and night is that, but it's fractals. And I'm not asking people to be scared. Again, if people turn off, that's fate. If people get scared, that's fate. What I'm saying is what you have to do in the next 15 months is learn who you're not. Once you realize what you're not, what you're left with, no matter how stupid it sounds, like the creator, that's what you're left with. So every single day, you'll make claims.
Or these people, rather than saying 15 months, they could do it in the next 15 minutes while we're here.
They could do it 15
because
seconds.
we're gonna tell what the truth is not. And if everybody believes what the truth is not, in 15 minutes the world changes and dies and comes back. Because it is a human construct that we're talking about. We're not talking about Mother Earth. Mother Earth's going to be here forever. And it's going to fucking just keep going. It's heaven.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It does. It does and it doesn't. Okay, the physical form only exists in your head. It only exists in your head. Yeah, it doesn't exist outside of you. And we just agree on what it is. But just think of energy. Don't think people, life. Don't think like that, because that's just energy slowing down from a gas into the physical form into a crystal. That's what's happening. Land is just dead life. Its energy is slowed down. So what the Earth's going to do next year is go back to a fluid. What we think is physical matter, this energy that's slowed down, gets pulverized by plasma and turns back to a fluid. It turns back to the liquid in an egg. In an unfertilized egg. It's already been fertilized. It's now in the death process before it's reborn. So the consciousness of the universe that life represents, so all life represent, so individual life forms represent the cells of a body. Yeah. So each cell's conscious, and they are represented on the earth as a life form. So there isn't really a vessel for the universe because it's just a cell. Yeah. All the physical forms within that only live in the brain, in the center, in the mind. So all physical form lives in the mind as a consciousness. But just like your consciousness as you goes back to a child or a baby or a fetus is a single cell and starts up again. That's consciousness. For conscious to go forward, it has to do that. Otherwise, you get to the end, everybody knows the truth, and then what?
Well, Rob, you're talking from a perspective that humans are still, the ultimate creator. And I'm not going to buy that. Like, if you want to go there, I'll say that the animals are the creator. Okay. The other animals, they created everything. Because they do the same thing as us.
How?
Okay. By seeing, by hearing, by feeling, they do the same thing as us. So we're just buying into this and saying, well, I know the end because I'm a human rather than an animal. Ask an animal, ask a plant. They're going to tell you that this is a plane of existence and it is heaven, and they grow and they die and they function like we've been talking about. So I'd rather talk about what we had as a topic here, brother, because honestly, like I get that, and it's a beautiful story, and I'm going to accept it, but I'm not going to argue with you on it. It's your story when it comes to us creating our reality by seeing it. No, it's there. It's real, and it's heaven. That's my story. So if you want to talk about it a little bit more before we move on to the next segment of this and talk about some of the truths that are not, that's great. I'll stop. But I'm not going to go back there and argue it anymore. You can just finish it if you want. However you want.
I don't want it to be anything. All I'll do is share what I see. But if anybody makes a claim, it doesn't matter what the claim is, you can say whatever you want. All I'll ask is how, why, when do you think this is? I'll just ask questions. Only 6 questions exist. There was something you mentioned yesterday on a post about the illusion. It's just the senses still asking questions. Now, I like that. I found it interesting because for what I've worked out, you can think about this yourself. There's only 2 thoughts, questions and answers. That's it. There's nothing else. One part of your brain, the pineal gland, asks questions, the pituitary gland answers them, or the pituitary gland will just tell you an answer. So every single thought you have is a question or an answer. So that's all you do. And you're only asking the same question from birth, because at birth, you forget who you are. At birth, you didn't know who you are.
Now we're really getting to a great point, okay? Because illusion is where we continue to ask questions. Like, our eyes will see something and we talk, and illusion is magic, right? But the element of love coming into it is alchemy, and it keeps you out of the delusion, which is a belief, okay? So what we've fallen into as humanity is delusion, because we've been offered all of this illusion, all of this magic that we're not allowed to ask questions about. Well, fuck you. I can ask any questions I want. It's an illusion. So I'm saying the same thing to your point about the world, or even the earth and Mother Earth coming to an end. If I'm not allowed to ask questions, my world isn't going to go there, like I'm okay. But let's focus on that. Give me that more of that, Rob, because I love this conversation about the illusion, and the illusion is still in words. When people say thoughts become things, well, we still think in terms of words. So it's the word. It's feelings become things. Feeling is still a word. Like, word is the key to all of this. The words and the black magic, or the magic words that have been used to put spells on humans, are all coming to an end because we've decided, people like us, that I'm not going to listen to that magic anymore.
So what was the illusion in the first place? The illusion was just a story. Yeah, everybody got told a story. Everybody believed that story. This is hypnosis. This is how it works. What you hear is 100% what you'll see. And you talk about belief. There is nothing but belief. You believe in something. It just so happens that everybody in the world believes the lie. But what's happening? Everybody's slowly waking up. Now you have to ask the question: why is everybody waking up? Why now? What's the difference? And once you understand the the chakras or the luminaries represent consciousness. During 2011 was a changeover event in 2011, and you moved from Saturn, the Saturnian rule. That's why before 2011, Saturn's reign ruled. That's why everybody who spoke the truth got shot down or killed or whatever, because that was the time we were in. The Pope had his power then. After 2011, they lost the power. They lost Saturn's reign had gone. It went from the zenith and it went round. It was now the turn of the firmament. So the firmament's the next level up, and that's the level of consciousness. That's where we are now, and it's on the right hemisphere of the brain, which is is it the right or left? Kitty, is it the right or left? I think it's the left side of the brain. Actually, it's no, it is the right. It's feminine. That's right. My bad. So it's the right side of the brain is the second last side. Then it gets to the front. On the right side, it's feminine energy. Left side's masculine. That's right. Right, and left's wrong, and masculine's wrong. So the right side's the good side. And consciously, the collective consciousness on the right side of the brain from 2011 to 2024. So it's division again. So right now, people are divided. Before that, it was at the back of the brain, and everyone, when it was Saturn's reign, everyone was at unity. That's why Saturn ruled the earth, and everyone was under the one world order. It's already been, it's happened. And that ended in 2011. We're now in division again. The ones that know the truth, the ones that are going to deny the truth. That's the division. Those that know and those that will deny it. I call that the sun chain, the moon chain. Won't get into that. So once you understand that it was after 2011, it was a changeover, and then it gets to the next level after 2024 in March. You get the next level of consciousness, and that's the last level. That's the 9th level, and after that, it's oneness. Once you get to oneness, those that know the truth by next year, that's the truth that will go forward. That's when it gets to the front of the brain, and there's unity again. So I hope by March next year, this truth will be out there, and it'll be everybody will be accepting it by this point. The ones that deny it will either fall away, and the collective will just agree that it makes sense and it's true. And once that happens, we've got into 2024, and all these things happen, and then it starts over. So that's the pattern I see. So when you get back to why language was changed in the 1700s, they had to create a story. So you've got no story for the earth. Everyone's forgot what's going on. Certain people went to Egypt and got the mysteries. They learned what it were, how to manipulate it, and then did. So that's all it did. They just killed everybody who knew the truth, chopped them all up, killed them all, and then went, speak English for a start. So everybody knew the truth. So this truth's still there, but they got everybody to speak English. And English was the bastardized language to control the legal system. So that's all it did. And that was the phonetics. It was the phony phonetic Phoenicians that did that. So the Phoenicians are the one that did trade around the Mediterranean. So it was all about trade. Now, if you want to get in why trade exists, again, how does the body work? Just look at the body, and the body's you are the vessel. So you just multiply it. In the brain, you communicate with our brain cells, and you've got a money or money. You can, this goes deep, the word money. The money is from the moon. The moon arc is first. It's always first. The moon, that's why the monarch is the moon arc. When the moon arc's at the top, it's first, it rules. After that, you've got the son of God, which is the moon. Mary is the vagina, but the Holy Mary is the vagina, and it's the son of God. Son's the pineal. So after birth, the son is born. And the monarch, the monarch, controls the sun, but it's hidden. Yeah, that's why the monarch controls the slaves. Where are the slaves? That's the ego. So the monarch with the crown on your head, then you've got the monarch, which is the monarch, always controls the ego, which is the slave. And that's what was ruling the world until we realize and we grow up and we become conscious. You become a grown-up. You should have done this when you were 7. You didn't. Or wait until 100, 200 years later, and you've got to be 50. And then you wake up. You know, it makes sense now. And you realize it was just a con. They just chat shit.
Yes.
And everyone believed it. And that's
And
it. That's literally it.
And I mean, you may or may not have watched any of my videos, but I've spoken about this for years, how the language is so simple when it comes to sovereign money creation, and money being, in my words, my own net energy yield. Okay, so it's all about having the authority, AU, okay, having the gold, and these are words that resonate with this sovereign money creation scheme that my mentor Bauer Rothschild, Baron von Brodich, shriek out of G, he brought in his own spiritual world too, and I love the guy to pieces. And this is the key: is let's have some humor. with when I explain and talk about this man, for instance, but at the same time, I love him to pieces. He's got a potential story there that I can get into, and I can be the authority, and I'll be the receiver in this story of, the autograph on an agreement. I'm fine with that, because I'm going to share it, and I'm going to share it properly. So it's like, it's all the simplicity to me. And I love the stories that you're telling. It's just great stuff. I've listened to a couple of your videos, and I love being on Facebook with you because your little quick clips are awesome. Are they understandable to many people? Well, it's a little bit, complex for the average mind. And I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there is levels. Okay. I'm going to say, I am saying that there is levels, and the levels are in knowledge and not just intelligence, because you've got that, but the wisdom comes in when you realize, like Barrett, and I'd like Barrett to speak a little bit on this, is that love is the answer. Okay. When we create the world, WORLD, put that fucking L in there as love, not Lucifer, or, like, it's so simple.
Okay.
Just bring that unconditional love to everything. And then that takes everybody off the hook. I don't care who or which individual you're talking about. I love you, that's all. Like, it's that simple to me. And that's what I brought into this banking world. And it scares the shit out of people that want to tell me some limiting story. No, there's no limit. There's abundance. It doesn't matter what. The credit system, the fiat so-called credit system, which was what we're talking about, the legal jurisdiction, the ancient asset-backed on-ledger or off-ledger accounts, the gold that's still hidden away in the crevices of Mother Earth's veins, let alone the stuff that's been mined and then called mine. Like, the language is so simple. But I want to hear from Barrett on this love thing, because he's the love bunny. Like, he's fucking so full of it. It just oozes out of him.
It's absolutely. I'm just so grateful to be in such great company. Yeah, my take on this is obviously to if you're operating from scarcity or abundance, when you're operating from abundance, you're leaving a very powerful impression everywhere you go. So you're creating that upliftment everywhere, and people will begin to ask these vital questions. It's nice to put it into people's faces, but at the end of the day, are you walking the talk? Are you the noble example? Are you amplifying? Are you causing the right noise? Because Rob was talking about tones, because cymatics and everything like that. And also, where is the moral compass behind everything that you're doing? What is your intention? Are you creating a world where it's just about profit? Is it a place where, are you a vampire? Are you sucking people's energy because you can't create your own energy? So, but these vital questions are so important, the what, where, when, how, who, and why we all life exists. Because one of the simple reasons why I created this from the field of neutrality, because I think we need to sit fairly neutral here and not say, night is better than day, because it's a balance between the two, life and death. Again, we have to bring it into some kind of order, some kind of balance, and it needs to be simplified. Okay, it needs to be, division creates complication. It creates, and then what do you want to do? You become defensive. You want to protect the illusion that even this is yours, that's mine. For me, the skill is being able to share the space, to share without too much distortion. But you can neutralize, harmonize that if you are in that I am presence, that you, like the Godhead, that creates that phenomenal balance between the yin and the yang, masculine, feminine, and what have you. And we're certainly doing it, gentlemen. We are doing it, and simplifying, which is, like even recorded history. How much of it is bullshit? Rob would say all of it. teach it. But if we go back to like 300 years, as Rob went back, I mean, people would be beheaded to ask certain questions, supposedly. They would cut your head off if you ask certain questions. Well, how much of that is true? Because I wasn't there, but I feel that, was there a power that was suppressing and creating this division? You know, but the one truth is within us. I think once you become in that place of solitude and stillness, soul connection, and with the spirit that we all are, it's a beautiful invitation to that where you go. So you're leaving that markers everywhere you go, and people will ask you, "What are you on? What are you? Is it food? What is it? What is it that you're in contact with?" But again, it boils down to the moral compass. Is it right? Is it wrong? You know, you have to bring it into some kind of, because for me, an opposing polarity is fundamentally what's going to bring some level of truth. What is real? What is not real? So, but here's a question: what is it true to say? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What might be real for me might not be real to you. And is that because I know what Rob would say, but the majority of people will say, well, there are souls that have divided, or cells that be divided, and each observer or projector is siphoning the information based on their abilities, or God, or you just tap into that one mind. Once you tap into that one mind, that is it. That is the ultimate. And you don't impose on the freedom of others. What is so powerful is that do no harm. I mean, let's look at the morality behind black and white. You know, are you encroaching? Are you stepping on people's toes? Or are you crushing people? Or are you raising the consciousness of the planet? But I mean, these are fantastic questions that we're asking. But on what the truth is not. I mean, Rob. I mean, we've had numerous occasions. Rob is, you know, some people, you know, live in a world where, is it possible to say they're comfortable? Are they comfortable? What is the word comfortable? For me, waking up every day and not knowing why is not being comfortable. And how much of us are there, hand on heart, really opens up their eyes every day? And, you know, how do you navigate through the day? With what set of eyes, you know? So I'll hand it back. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that energy with
Joe.
us, you know. But,
Well, for me, again, I'd have to ask, what is love? What is it? People talk about love all the time. Oh, this, love that. Now, let's go. So, what's love to you? Now, when you get the nitty gritty of it, love is simply a feeling. Yes, you all agree. So that means it's a resonance, because a feeling starts with a tone. It's something you feel at a certain time when you have a certain thought, and you'll call that love. So you can have a child, or you can have a pet, or whatever, and you can think you're getting that love from that. Well, I would disagree with the whole interpretation of what people think love is, because the only time you say that, he's looking from the perspective of the ego, and you're putting that love onto something else outside of you. But we already know everything outside of you comes from the mind, so therefore is inside of you. So it's you. So you're putting your love onto something else outside of you. But when you do that, that love can then be taken. That thing could die. What happened to the
Well,
love?
then that's
Has
the
love
ultimate.
gone?
That's the ultimate frequency. So love is death. Okay, it's the ultimate.
Is it life?
You know,
So I would,
if I love to the ultimate level, I die, and I'm okay with that. You
yeah,
know, I've given
yeah,
up all of my ego. Not all of my ego, or yeah, I've given up all of my ego, which is basically my subconscious. Okay, what my brain has been trained to do, and then my discernment is what I spew. Okay, and when I spew nothing but love, let's go. Like, it's okay. I mean, we can go on this topic, but before we get too long-winded, because I don't want to go much over an hour, guys. Like, I just don't, it doesn't really suit my little world, right? And I don't think many people can fucking focus that long anyway, the odd one might come back, but I want to go into the whole, I love that I love your fucking ideas on this beautiful heavenly plane that we live on, okay? And I'm going to call it a plane. And this silly story, which is not truth, of us living on a spinning ball flying through fucking space, okay? And all I say to that is there's one question that you have to ask, and this question can come from this topic or many others that are not truth, like that this fucking shot in the arm is actually good for you. But the ultimate truth with this flat earth, I'll call it, theory, is that who's limiting you? Every bloody government on earth is limiting you from going beyond, for knowing what's beyond that Arctic Circle, or what's beyond the Antarctic Circle, what's within the Arctic Circle. They're limiting you. So right there, the whole globe theory and the spinning ball is gone, because as soon as you're limited, you fall from the illusion into delusion that we live on some spinning fucking ball. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, because I love it when you talk about this, Rob.
How would you get away from, okay, let's just start from what you know. Get away from everything you've been told. Just delete it and just use logic. It's a flat plane. People look for curvature, it's not there. You come up with all different kind of theories. Everybody knows there's a firmament and all the rest of it. Look, it's just one simple question, and now off to get rid of it, and you just go, how do you contain something as pressurized without something containing it? It makes no sense. None. Deadly squat. But no, it's not flat. Sorry, it's not a ball. It's just not. It's really simple. It's a flat plane. The black dot, the black sun is below the plane. That's the mind, and it projects black light out, but we see it as white light. So the white light, black light first, the moon, or subconscious. The subconscious creates white light. So white light's created, it's still from black light, but it's created from the black light. White light is then separated. So you get the sun and the moon. The sun, remember, these are, just think as light as consciousness. So you've got the black light, which is the one mind, the consciousness of everything, the all. That separates into the subconscious. The subconscious then, Sophia, creates the demiurge, which is the ego, the sense of self, the son of God. Right. So now the sun is illuminated, but it's illuminated from the frequency of red light, because your white light, the pineal gland, has been separated into the chakras. Remember, everything's just separation. And it just separates and separates and separates, and you get divided. You've got trillions of cells. And your job is, as the guardian of this vessel, is to get all those cells to remember how they are. Not just the brain, your toes, the hair, your teeth, everything has to remember. And that's coherence. That's you getting your torus and all the toruses all projecting in the same direction at the same time. So you become coherent. And when you become coherent, the energy flows through you without you blocking the hole of consciousness, just in your brain, though, not your heart. Just this is because you've got two toruses, one in the top and one in the bottom. It's one is a hole. But the one in your head, the black dot, is right in the very center. In the center, that's the firmament, that's a bubble. It's just a bubble of consciousness. So once you've got a bubble of white light, that white light again gets separated into the colors. That's the color of law. And once you understand the colors of law, I can break this right down to the 9 different laws you've got within the structures that we use. And then you've got sovereign. And then they say that there's so many other levels above that. And then you've got the mind of God that no man can know. And I'm just like, well, that's horseshit. Why would you limit yourself? Oh, you can't know that. Well, what happens when I start writing claims and saying that I'm the one mind? What judge or anybody else can go, no, you're not? If it's at the top level and it's the mind of God and I claim that and I can explain it in my claim, then if everybody's below that, I'm now God. Nothing, nobody can touch us, no rules can attach to us, nothing. If everybody starts making these claims, the system's just dead, it's just gone. Because you can claim souls at this point, because you're the creator. and the Creator claims souls back. Those that deny it, in the end, right in the end times, God's going to judge you. You're God. You're judging yourself in the end times now, and you're choosing. Basically, what you're choosing is where you're going to reincarnate at what point in the next cell's life. That's all. Those that die now consciously are choosing not to come back, and that's what I'm choosing. I'm choosing to end the reincarnation cycle.
The legal system and this whole, word game that they played is actually quite simple to decipher, right? It's so uncomplex that people with complex minds can't decipher it because they just want to, their subconscious or their ego wants to deny it. But it's very simple. Like, it's all about death, like you say, and it's so ridiculous. But I wanted to point out something that you said there, and that is the gender principle. Okay, so there's three men here, and three that are kind of at different stages of this gender principle. I mean, obviously, the loving, beautiful, divine, feminine, balanced man over here on my left, Barrett, has got this neutrality, but there is so much power in that feminine because it is the creator. Okay,
it's the
masculine is just the spark. We're here fucking blasting away with a whole bunch of words that we're offering to the minds of people. We're the spark. But the feminine is the one where the people that are listening are going to go, like in Sophia or Christina, or, versus the Filipina versus the Filipino. Like, it's just right there for us to see when we look at the feminine, calm, creator, and the masculine, I'm coming in your face with some spark, So thank you for that. As far as, bringing it into that gender principle, which is so crucial, for people to realize that, yeah, we are, I'm fucking born in end of March. I'm an Aries. I'm 180 pounds, 6 feet. How in the hell am I supposed to develop my feminine principle the way that Barrett has? Look at that soft little cheeks. Jesus Christ, man, you're so sweet.
Got me all blushing. What Rob is saying, I mean, he's forecasting a particular event, which my take on that event is a form of celebration. I don't advocate to any kind of complex fear feeling situation. I got to know Rob pretty well in a very short space of time, and I genuinely believe that this gentleman does not have one cell in his body that wants anything nasty to happen to anyone. I genuinely believe that he's a kind, loving individual, but he senses an event. To be very, very transparent as always, I was a little bit skeptical and I was a bit uncomfortable to begin with it because I kind of got the wrong end of the stick. But for me, there is going to be an event, but that event might not be, I mean, it may not tally or sit very comfortably at the moment, but my take is it is going to be a celebration. For me, every day should be a celebration, okay? Because the day begins with what? For me, the day begins, the very fabric that holds everything is gratitude. Thank you. If these simple words are not, if they're meaningless in your life, then you need to dig deeper and search closer to who you really are within yourself. Because what Brother Rob is also saying about the cymatics, it is very, very powerful. Because what you're projecting is on reflection what exactly is happening within yourself. So if you're keeping stuff in your heart which is rather abrasive, then that is how you are interacting with all living organisms, and that's the kind of markers you're leaving. So the feedback will be, in a way, you're magnetizing and you're reaping what you're sowing. So be more conscious of what you're putting there, because these things are going to have a major effect. So it's important to be the conscious observer, And what you were saying earlier, Rob, about black being unity, white being duality, and to bring things into balance, into order. And I feel that that's the key in mastery of knowing the truth, the one truth, because there are many cheap imitations, that's distorted imitations, which is part of a game, I guess, in order to understand, because for this to expand, you have to experience some kind of opposition. And the opposition is a great one. But yes, brother Randall, yeah, I mean, the unconditional love and holding space for people, and through the guardianship of this bioactivation platform, I believe is also a key in neutralizing and harmonizing. That nobody needs healing. They just want a particular zone where they feel comfortable in that being of what Brother Rob is talking about, connecting to that tone, that one mind, that we all are brothers and sisters at the end of the day, and no man is an island, and it's coming together in that unity consciousness that we are, and separating the division. The division was created for a purpose, the separation. But when you bring that oneness back, you no longer need to advocate to war and and go out there, the so-called the killing machine.
Can we touch on that, please?
Please.
Because I worked something out yesterday or the other day. I was thinking about legal and lawful and all of this, right? And someone had said something about, I was reading it in this book, about how man is authority, or everybody's sovereign. That was it. Everybody's sovereign, and this is how the legal is supposed to be. Everybody agrees on a rule, and then that's the legal system that everybody's agreeing to. And I'm like, well, how would that even work? So let's just say that wars haven't happened. I don't know. I've never been in one. But from my perspective, there is no wars. People chat shit and say there's wars to justify a lot of things. But I don't think there was. We're now at the end of all of that. So how would you get a legal system, and why would a legal system exist? Well, Randall, you might know that nobody owns water. They can own the land under the water, but you can't own the water itself because it moves, it flows, it's never the same water. So you can't own water. So people used to build houses on bridges so they couldn't pay the land tax. Then I'm like, I also heard once that if you build a fence around something on land, if you fence it off and then you work the land, you claim that land because you're creating something. So I'm like, okay, so let's just say before the last changeover in the 1700s, or before then, it was added 1,000 years. It was actually 500, and they've added 1,000 years. So that's how I know everything that we know is just bullshit. If you can create 1,000 years worth of history, I'm king, and that's the end of that. My family's always been kings. It's me. You don't get a choice. That's how you create history, and now you're king. Yay! So that's what they did. Well, how did it work before then? And how did they get the legal system and then change it the way it is now? Right. Well, where I live, Newcastle in England, it's called Newcastle. So obviously, there must have been an old castle at some point. So you think, it's known as it's an old Roman city. I don't believe the Romans existed, right? So I'll get that out of the way. There was no Romans. The Romans didn't do shit. They didn't exist. It's a lie, right? Once you get rid of that one lie, Hadrian's Wall that they're talking about, that was known as the Picts Wall, when they changed to Hadrian's Wall, right? There's a big wall that goes from the west coast to the east coast, and it stops where I live, just down Wall's End. Well, that makes no sense. Why didn't it go a little bit further to the coast? Just a little bit further, another 10 miles, but it didn't. It stopped at Wall's End. Why? And just yesterday, I was in Wall's End, and I started thinking, why is it called Wall's End if their story isn't true? Now, if you go back to the pictures, early drawings of Newcastle, it was a walled city. Well, I never got told it was a walled city. Nobody taught me that. But it was a walled city. Was it? So this massive wall going all the way around the city. And now we've got this road, this street called Westgate Road. We've got a place the opposite of Newcastle over the river. It's called Gates Head. So you've got a head of a gate coming to a walled city. You've got Westgate Road. There was also a place called Manners, right? And when I look into it, it was called Manners because it was the King's Manor, his manor house. I'm like, the King's Manor. So there's a king in London. He's come to Newcastle and stay here. Bullshit. So I think the king was like tribal. So I think before we got to where we are now, it was all tribal. So I think what people used to do was build in a community a wall, and not for defense. It's so they can create the legal system. So in that walled city, you had a community. The people who built the wall. They built the wall and they lived there. And they'll put everybody's sovereign. So hang on, I don't want you taking my things and things like that. So they create their legal system, and everybody in the city agrees to that legal system. And now that's the law. And everybody lives there. But remember, if everybody's sovereign, you cannot judge anyone. There are 12 jurors. Why 12? Because it's the zodiac. The zodiac, the mind, right, is supposed to be judging you. The mind of God judges you, not you. Not me. We're not supposed to judge each other. That creates karma. So what do they do? So if you've got a walled city and then somebody breaks the rules, what do? Well, you don't punish them. You just go get out the city. Out. So the rule is, if you break the law, you get kicked out the city. Simple. Go defend for yourself, feed yourself, do it yourself. That's the end of that. But in the 1700s, they took away all these walled cities. Remember not me.
Sorry.
Fires all over the world. In the 1700s, 1800s, fires everywhere. Every capital city had a fire, and all the cities were burned. We had wars. There wasn't a war. Hush. I don't believe it. I don't believe the First World War and the Second World War happened. I believe people believe it happened, and I believe people were alive when they said these things. But then they go, right, we need blackouts. You need to paint your windows black. You need to turn all the street lights out because aeroplanes are flying over and they're going to see where the cities are. Oh, okay. So now you just made the whole city black. So no one can see anything. And then you go, they're dropping bombs. You need to go build an air raid shelter. Go down, build a little bunker, go in it, put your head down and hide. So what were the Masons doing? Going around, throwing hand grenades everywhere, blowing things up. Boom! There's a big bang. I didn't say no planes. Look, I don't believe these wars happened. I think what they're doing is destroying the evidence of the old world. That's what they're doing. Yeah, I don't believe none of the stories. I don't even know fucking Hitler existed. And I'm not against Jews or anything, but you got to look into the words and why they're called Jewish, not just Jews. Why are you Jewish? Because you're not quite a real Jew. That's why. Look, if you look into the words, right, jurisdiction, all of those words, just change the word from JU to JEW, and you'll see what's going on. And who runs the world, because they were the bankers, yeah, the bench and the bar. Well, the bar is the bench. The bench is a banker's bench where they used to do the counting. That's why you have countries, count, try, yeah. When you get to capital cities, cap it all, right? If you want to get the deep shit, right, all this Mason bullshit, it's all about Osiris. Just the other day, I watched the video, that all-seeing eye, yeah, on this video, they went, it's the eye of Horus. Well, I already know the eye of Horus is the eye of the penis. Yeah, that's what it is. So when they're trying to raise Osiris, they're trying to raise the penis. All about generating energy. That's the penis. So in a human, we generate the energy using the penis. That's Osiris. Oh, they changed the name. It's also the Christ. So once you understand, raising the Christ is raising Osiris. It's raising the penis. So in America, the New Babylon, they're trying to raise Osiris. That's why they got the big phallic there, or the big obelisk. The capital city is supposed to be the vagina. That's Isis, the temple of Isis. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with anything that people think. It's nothing to do with any of that. That's the story. That's the delusion of the illusion, like you were saying. The true story is one seed. One seed. You plant one seed. How many seeds you get off that plant? That's what generation is. If you want to generate, there's no lack of anything. Everything's abundant because one seed generates thousands. That's the end of that. You just killed the story. You've got trillions of sperm cells, man. Come on, think about it. We're not running out of anything. Jesus Christ. There's still plenty of trees and plants out there. But they'll have you living in lack because you believe the story. There's nothing in lack. So once they've created these, anyway, I'll get back to these cities. So once they've created this wall city, they've blown it all up and they've destroyed it. There's no wall city in Newcastle. There's no wall. So what was the wall's end? Was it just, so I looked into, when did Wall's End get its name? They say it went back to 10 something. So let's just say it was 10. 500, right? It's only 500 year difference. So around that time, this is the Wall's End. It's got its name. Before that, it had a different name. I meant something else that I can't remember offhand, but it was coincidental that it meant this, which I can't remember. But anyway, let's just say the Wall's End was the end of the walled city. So now they're telling you to your face, oh, it's Wall's End. the end of the walled city. So what happens when they got rid of all these walled cities? You get rid of them all. Now remember, the Pope claimed to own the earth. How? Because there's no more fucking walls. The firmament becomes the wall.
Right.
Yeah. But now what do you do with criminals? God, people are doing harm, injury, or loss, and they're creating criminals. They're creating criminals. So now you can't just throw them outside the walled city because we're in it. You put them. You build another wall. You put them in it. So they create a walled city and then put all the criminals in that walled city, and that's how they did it. And that's why we've got legal system the way we have, as far as I can see. Of
That's
course,
good. You know, Rob, that's a good way to end this video because I'm going to listen to that last 7 or 8 minutes or whatever that you did, because there was just amazing information in there. Blasphemy, but amazing information. And I love it. So, you know, if it's okay with you guys, I want to get on with my day, and
we'll get the opportunity, I'm sure, to converge our energies again in the foreseeable future. And
I like it. I like it doing it this way. It makes a change, because I don't want to just be talking all the time.
Oh, it was fun. I mean, you know, it is the way to move forward, is communicate with each other, because we're all individually trying to move this whole story to the end. And I'll just repeat that I think it is with the energy of love, because the energy of love is the highest frequency. So if anything, if nothing else, it'll kill the old story, because everything's gonna die. So, which is a great thing, you know. I wore black today because, you know, even the word mourning, a lot of people say, oh, why are you saying mourning? Well, I am mourning. The past was a fucking bullshit story. Like, we got to get on to something here. So let's mourn the past. But mourning isn't, you know, such a bad thing. And good morning to you guys. I'm going to say goodbye in a minute, but
goodbye from
let us finish it off.
We'll get the opportunities in due course to come together and unite our beautiful energies. And thank you to Rob and Randall. Thank you, and keep well in the meantime, and see you again in the very near future. Love to you all, and to all the listeners.
Next time.
Till the next time. Peace and love.
We'll see you on Facebook, Rob. I love your stuff.
Thanks.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and gratitude.
Thank God.